Welcome back as ASEAN leaders gather in Kuala Lumpur next week for the 47th ASEAN Summit. The region's focus is not only on economic cooperation but also on the kind of leadership needed to drive growth in a fast-changing digital world. Joining us today is Dr. Anne Franck, OBE, Chief Executive Officer of Chartered Management Institute, CMI, to share her insights on how ASEAN's leaders can build resilience, agility and a people-first culture in this new era, and is a global thought leader in management and leadership, currently in Kuala Lumpur for an event organized by CMI. Thanks for doing this, Anne. Now, ASEAN leaders will gather in Kuala Lumpur next week for the 47th ASEAN Summit, a region now at the crossroads of digital transformation. From your perspective, what kind of leadership does this new era demand?
Well, actually, it's very relevant question because, as you say, we've just been in or are in Kuala Lumpur and have hosted a major event on this very topic with leading entrepreneurs and educators. And the theme that really emerges is that leaders need to be agile. They need to be able to adapt to an uncertain, ever-changing world, and that requires special human skills and a lot of collaboration.
As economies across ASEAN push towards AI adoption and also automation, how can leaders strike the right balance between embracing technology and maintaining that human connection at work?
The thing to remember is that AI is a wonderful, but it is there to augment, not replace human judgment. AI cannot make decisions with emotions, with gut instinct, with heart. Humans do make decisions with those. So we all, when we were discussing this topic, that the AI age makes emotional intelligence and human qualities even more important. Robots cannot replace human judgment. And we must all, as leaders, remember that. And that means we must place more emphasis on training those human-centric skills that will use AI to the benefit of the outcomes rather than seeing it as a replacement or even worse, being afraid of it.
Right, Dr. Anne. ASEAN is made up of very diverse economies and cultures, each moving at very different speeds in digital transformation. How can leaders across this region build the emotional agility needed to adapt to such differences and change?
Well, it is a good thing that Malaysia, as chair, has set a tone for sustainable and inclusive growth, investing both human capital as well as technology. And in fact, investing in the workforce is critical because the digital economy is projected to reach US 1 trillion by 2030. So as leaders, you must identify the skills needed and the gaps in both current and future generations and move to invest in filling those skills. That means teaching communication skills as well as technical skills starting in school, but it also means upskilling and reskilling our current workforce. Confidence is absolutely essential, and self-confidence, as we know at CMI, is a foundation of successful leadership and management.
With ASEAN economies growing very rapidly, many organizations face mounting pressure to deliver results. Now, what can regional leaders do to manage that pace while protecting their teams from stress and burnout?
Stress and burnout is an unfortunate reality of the workplace. And of course, as the pace of change gathers steam, it is more likely to happen. I think what leaders need to recognize is that burnout in your workforce has a very high cost. It will cost your organization results, it will lead to gaps, it will lead to high turnover. So it should be avoided. A leader avoids this by listening, setting clear priorities, and by responding when those priorities become too much. We do need to encourage people to take breaks. I'm a great believer in well-being days, giving people perhaps an afternoon off to recharge after a busy period. And when you do that, when you value your workforce, when you look after their well-being, our research at CMI shows they will actually repay you by delivering even better results, being more resilient, and being more likely to stay with you and deliver for your organization.
Right. Let's talk about innovation. Now, it is a key theme for ASEAN's growth. How can leaders foster a culture where people feel safe to share ideas, make mistakes, and learn without fear of failure?
It's a great question. And I was just speaking with a very successful entrepreneur, and what he just said to me is failure is success. And that is very true because we must all learn from our failures. In this uncertain world, if we're not trying different things and experimenting, we will simply not succeed because we have to be able to try and to learn quickly. And that means feeling safe to make those inevitable mistakes. We know at CMI that 97% of people make some mistake at work, and I like to say the other 3% aren't telling the truth. Line managers are very important in this because line managers are the number one influence on people's well-being at work. So encourage your teams to speak up, encourage them to learn from their mistakes, and treat those as an opportunity to move forward and be positive rather than something to fear and to punish.
Right. Finally, as ASEAN moves toward a more digital and interconnected future, what does the next generation of leadership look like to you, Dr. Ann?
Well, of course, the next generation of leaders, they're digital natives. They grew up in the age of COVID, but they also didn't have quite social interaction of many of the older generations. Now, we have 5 generations in the workforce currently, and what I like to encourage is bringing them all together to share their experiences and learn from each other. The more we can do that, the more self-confidence we will create in younger leaders, and they then will learn from their older generations to the benefit of everyone. Those future leaders need to be confident, they need to be agile, and they need to be trained and developed. They mustn't be accidental managers. We can develop them to be capable, inclusive, and confident leaders.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ann. We look forward to having you in the studio in the near future. More global updates in just a moment. This is The World on BERNAMA TV. Stay with us.